Hello, friends. Welcome back to Block Bytes. Bitcoin is undergoing a phase of renaissance, which has divided its community into two camps. One camp of die-hard traditionalists do not want to change Bitcoin and wants to preserve its status as the global store of value. In contrast, the other group wants to utilize the blockchain for other activities more than just sending and receiving bitcoins. The exciting part is that the second group might win from a purely free market economic perspective. Let me explain. You see, after token rewards are reduced because of the halving, miners would become more dependent on fee generated by transactions on the network to run their operations. Suppose new activities like NFT trading and DeFi are added to the network. In that case, the miners will earn more fee via these transactions, which could balance out the loss due to halving. Profitable miners mean that the network remains firm, which is positive for the price of Bitcoin. This makes sense, which is why the market demand will drive this change in the Bitcoin network. We already see this change taking place, and I call it Bitcoin version 2. So, what makes Bitcoin version 2 different from his earlier avatar? It is pretty simple. We are seeing the same changes that led to the birth of Ethereum and more recently the birth of Layer2s on Ethereum. In other words, Bitcoin V2 includes Layer 2 networks on top of it. These Layer2s bring smart contract programming to Bitcoin, making way for applications like DeFi, NFTs, and others, just like we have seen on Ethereum and other L2s. The trigger for the renaissance on Bitcoin was Ordinals. Ordinals is a protocol that allows the creation of on chain transactions, or rather inscriptions, for digital assets like NFTs on the Bitcoin network. It renewed development and transaction interest in the Bitcoin community, the after effects of which were seen in increased activity on the network, resulting in a massive 280% rise in transaction fee. This was good news for the miners as they pocketed the transaction fee, improving network security. However, it also meant that users had to pay more for their transactions. Does this sound familiar? Yes, this is precisely what happens on Ethereum and why it moved to the rollup centric model. Like Ethereum, Layer2s are now beginning to pop up on Bitcoin to alleviate the ill effects of transaction fees for end users. In a nutshell, having Layer2s on the Bitcoin network will result in the following advantages. First, increased throughput or transactions per second. Second, reduced transaction fees. And third, smart contract capabilities, resulting in new applications like DeFi, NFTs, and others. However, this is still in its early days. It took years of innovation and development on Ethereum to have a rich layer 2 ecosystem. We should expect no less from Bitcoin, even if they reuse this innovation. As of December 2023, the layer 2 and rollup space on Bitcoin already have several different projects. And here is an excellent illustration from Spartan Research. As you can see, several protocol level changes like Taproot and scripts were deployed on the Bitcoin network. Then we have an ecosystem of layer 2s protocols on top of the layer 1, followed by several rollups. Now, apart from layer 2s, Bitcoin layer 1, 2 is seeing a lot of changes. We discussed ordinals before, and then we have others like colored coins, Omni protocol, and counterparty. Omni was first used to issue and transfer Tether or USDT on the Bitcoin L1. Counterparty is the underlying technology that powers Bitcoin stamps and SRC20 tokens, a layer 2. And ordinals are now the de facto standard for issuing NFTs and BRC20 tokens on Bitcoin via inscriptions. Besides layer 2 and layer 1 changes, we are also seeing rollups, a kind of layer 2, emerge on Bitcoin. BitVM is one such rollup. Like a rollup on Ethereum, BitVM takes transaction execution off chain and uses fraud proof to challenge this execution on chain. One important thing to note about rollups like BitVM is that since the cost of proving on Bitcoin layer 1 increases depending on the size of the off-chain program, they are mainly used for straightforward use cases like bridging Bitcoin across chains. I hope this gave you a glimpse on the changes happening on the Bitcoin network. Now let's quickly look at some layer 2 projects. Here is a table of some of the prominent layer 2s on Bitcoin. As you can see, they are all doing their own thing, but we see some commonalities. For example, all except stacks use BTC or Bitcoin natively or wrapped as their token. Also, all layer 2s except Lightning Network enable smart contracts. Most are compatible with EVM, which makes sense because if you are building an ecosystem of applications, you want to take advantage of Ethereum's network effect. I'm not going to talk about these individually, as the idea of the video is to provide a glimpse uh, to the fledgling ecosystem. According to Spartan Research, the Bitcoin layer 2 market opportunity is by far the largest in the Bitcoin economy. And Bitcoin layer 2s will reach a 24 billion US dollar market cap by 2025, which is 50% of Ethereum layer 2 market. Since we are seeing new projects emerge, not only on the Bitcoin network, but also around it in the form of layer 2s, a lot is also happening regarding introducing new token standards. Some of these include BRC20, which mimics Ethereum's ERC20 token standard, but for Bitcoin. BRC721E, which is similar to Ethereum's 721 token standard for non-fungible tokens. ORC20 and ORC Cash for Ordinals, and XTX20 for Stacks Layer 2 ecosystem. As you can imagine, Bitcoin is going through a massive change. No one imagined we would see layer 2s and NFTs on Bitcoin, but here we are. Bitcoin layers characterized by advances in layer 2 and rollup technologies are forming a trustless financial environment. As these technologies gain traction, Bitcoin's place as a vital pillar in the future of crypto finance will be reinforced. And as I said before, the traditionalists do not stand a chance. I hope you like this video. Do like and share, and I will see you next time with another fresh bite. Bye bye.